the next thing we want to look at is going to be the land use. So MassGIS provides a land use layer that identifies all the different kinds of land use within each community in the Commonwealth. And it can be fairly complicated depending on the size and the activity that goes on in a particular community. Here I've just taken the land use description field and applied a separate color to each category so you can kind of see the variety there. What we're interested in here is identifying the different types of land use that would be affected by each flood type, as well as a count and percentage of the proportion and amount of area of each land use type that falls within the flood zone. So this works in a very similar way to what we did with the roads. So if we applied the select by location to find land use polygons that intersect with the flood areas, we're probably going to have the same problem we have with the roads. We're going to have areas that exceed the boundaries of the flood because the polygons of the land use exceed that region. So we're going to probably want to do a clip in this as well. So again, I'm going to use the geoprocessing. I'm going to clip the land use. And just notice here too that the land use I'm using has already been reduced to the town of Marblehead so that I reduce my processing time. When you download the layer originally, it comes with a whole county, which is a larger layer and can slow down the processing. The clip feature is again going to be the 16-foot flood polygons. It's going to output to my geodatabase again. Again, I want to make sure that I can distinguish this particular layer from others. So again, I'm going to give it a name that will let me know which scenario this belongs to. The new clipped land use is right here. Okay. I can see how many records are selected, but that's not particularly helpful. What I want to know is I want to know what kinds of land use and how much area for each land use. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to summarize this table in order to aggregate the different categories into single records, and we also want statistics to tell us how much total area is involved in each case. So before we go there, I'm going to add one more column to this table for acres for area, since acres is a more common way of communicating area in the U.S. and a unit of area that most people will understand. So again, I'm going to add a field, call it acres, and I'm going to make this one also, make it a long integer to accommodate a larger number, but we don't really need fractional acre. Well, I guess we do. Okay, sorry to be indecisive here. So we'll make it a float so it allows, it accommodates decimal numbers. All right, now in there, just like we did before with the length with the roads, we're going to go to right click and then calculate geometry, and we want to calculate area, and rather than square meters, which is what the shape area column already gave us, we want the units in acres. Okay, so then now if I go to the statistics, I can get the total acreage that falls within the flood area. Okay. You can of course go back to the original layer and compute what percentage of the town falls within that, but you've already calculated that previously. What we want to know here is what types of land use and how much of each land use. So in that case, what we're going to do is we're going to summarize on the land use description column. Right? And what we want to do too is we want statistics here. We want to get the sum of the total acreage for each land use type that falls within the flood area. So this is also going to create a table. So again, I'm going to name this something that will tell me what it's about. Again, this is not going to create a layer, it's going to create just a table. And so we see that table that I just created, and so when we look at that, we can see a breakdown of the various types of land use that fall within the flood polygons, the count of how many polygons those are, and more importantly, the sum of acres for each type of land use. Now this is really helpful because we can actually not only tell the total amount of acreage of each type of land use that would be within the flood area, but we can also calculate percentages to say what percentage of affected land use is residential, for example, or commercial. And so that's a useful way of communicating to our audience exactly what types of land use might be affected under this particular scenario. Okay.